welcome to the Serpent Temple podcast and YouTube channel. We're going to be reviewing our experience at Damnation Festival earlier this month. It's gone very quickly. We've been quite busy, so sorry it's a little bit late. But we had a really good time and we want to tell you about it.
Yeah, it was great. So second Damnation at the BEC Arena.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the arena? First time there for you guys, right?
Yeah, so the last time I went to Damnation was the year, I think it was a crazy year.
Was it the boat thrower year, 2014?
I think, I don't know if I've been to 2 or 1.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing Bolt Thrower and Electric Wizard, and I think I saw Carcass as well.
So you might went 2016 if you saw Wizard, because they played 3 times, so not sure.
I saw them the year that My Dying Bride also played.
Oh, okay.
So that was quite a while ago. I think it was like a good decade, which is kind of freaky thinking about that. It was amazing. I really liked it back then, and I had quite high expectations, and my expectations were very much more than met. It was a much better place to put those bands on. It was so much easier to get around. The arena was really big. There was enough food. There was enough toilets, and I mean, obviously we got to access the cute little Star Wars bar, which was really nice as well.
Yeah, that was cool. Wasted on me. Still haven't seen a single film apart from Force Awakens. What's the first of the new ones?
This is your Hobbit thing.
Yeah. This is my version of.
I actually quite liked Force Awakens. I'm not gonna lie. I think the cinematography is really good.
No, actually, I've seen 2 because I saw the next one where what's her name? Who's Carrie Fisher's character?
Oh, she does the Superman thing.
Yeah, she kind of floats back into the ship. I was like, the series has peaked. I was like, end the movie now. This is it. This is the apex of the entire franchise.
The apex of all fantasy. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I mean, the Star Wars bar is really nice. It's a really cool design. It's quite nice to be able to sort of dip in there if you want a little introverted moment amidst the chaos of the day.
Yeah. And the press area was a gym, which was cool.
I loved that. It was a boxing gym. Shout out to the boxing gym. I need to have written down the guy's name. He was so nice.
We're gonna add it in at some point, right?
Yeah, we'll do it in post. He was really cool. He'd actually trained with Muhammad Ali. And he was called Bobby Lee. It's Bobby Lee. And he had a dog called Rasta. He had a picture of Rasta. Rasta was so cute. He had a big underbite. It was a British bulldog. It was absolutely adorable. I swear to God, Rasta trains weights in that gym.
Yeah. There was at one point where I turned around and I locked eyes with the dog. And they must have been thinking I was like a distant cousin or something. It was like sizing me up. There was this motherfucker looks like me, but not.
I think the dog was looking at you and whining and being like, It was so cute. And then when I saw Rasta, I went and gave him a little cuddle, and he started hyperventilating and getting really excited. And he basically turned around, backed into me, and started wiggling his bum into my leg. It was so cute.
He exposed his belly as well, right? That's meant to be the sign of trust with a dog.
I believe
so. Cat as well, I think.
Yeah, it was he was so adorable. One of the highlights of the festival for me was Rasta. But that is not to take away from the brilliance of the festival. It was very well organised by Gavin and Paul, I'd say.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I think, I talked about this a little bit last year when it was the inaugural year at the BEC. But it makes such a difference being able to get around properly, because I think it was getting to a point at Leeds where it was it had become so popular to the point where it was being overbooked and there was too many people there, and you were having to have a militaristic schedule just to be able to get into the bands, get to see the bands you want to see between all the stages. So it was just having that a bit more freedom. For someone that has latent claustrophobia, it's good to just have a bit more room. And you mentioned the food as well. The food was actually really good.
It was great.
It? We had the first night, we had the gyros.
Yeah.
Or gyros, I don't pronounce it properly. Gyro.
I don't know how it's pronounced.
And they were really fucking good.
It was fantastic. Yeah, I enjoyed the food, and there was lots of different choices. There was some vegan options too.
Yeah,
that was good. Shall we start with what we saw? That we went to see Night of Salvation, so we did the sort of pre-festival, which is a really nice sort of add-on with some special sets from the bands, which I really enjoyed. It
was great. It seems like it's gearing up to be more like a 2-day festival as opposed to a 1-dayer, because the Night of Salvation, the Friday thing, was always kind of a warm-up pre-thing back in the Leeds days. So now it was almost like a fully fledged, this is an actual 2-day. This is the first proper day of the festival. We got caught in some horrific traffic though on the way there.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. We missed most of the bands.
It's a 6-hour drive it ended up being.
Yeah, we were quite I think we were kind of shell-shocked from that drive by the time we arrived. But it was pretty good. Like, we saw... Did we see Enslaved first?
We definitely... Well, no, it was Enslaved first. Let me get my Clash Finder up.
Because they played Below the Lights that night.
That was fucking amazing.
I'm really gutted we missed Psy.
Yeah, I preferred the Below the Light set, personally.
I liked the stage show for the Saturday set that they did, because they got these special runes made, and they like did that at their own expense and travelled them over and like assembled them, and they were all lit up, and it looked really cool.
It was really good. Do you know what? This is why like more event organisers need to take a punt on the band like Enslaved. You give them the budget to do a good stage show and a big production, and they do some really cool shit.
I really enjoyed it when I think it was on the Friday when they played the do 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 do
Havenless.
Yeah. I love that song. Yeah, I think that was like I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not on this album, but we were everyone is it?
Yeah.
I don't know enough about Enslaved. Clearly, you guys are like the Enslaved fans. I do like them, but not to the degree. They don't hold like that special place in the heart that you guys have with them. But when they started playing that, I lost my shit. It was really exciting. That is like such a banger of a song.
Yeah, I will say, do you know what? I was gutted we actually missed Psy on this day.
Me too.
Because I heard from a lot of people that they put on, like, because I think this is when they were playing...
the Scorn Defeat.
Scorn Defeat.
Oh, no, wait. No, it is, yeah.
It was Scorn Defeat. And I think the next day would have been the set similar to the one we saw. So we did see them support Nal Nathrak in
December.
That
was fantastic.
Which was amazing. And I'm gutted I actually missed it, but I think we just needed to get something to eat, or we were just...
I think I was watching another band. Something was happening. We were really, really tired.
Yeah,
at that
we literally
point
just arrived and then went immediately to watch Enslaved, pretty much. So we were like still reeling at that point.
But it was really easy to get in. I will say that too. It was like
super easy.
It was really easy to just like every part of it was easy. There wasn't like any problems with like people being like funny about your wristband or security. It was just really easy to get in. Get to the bands, which I really like, because some festivals you're sort of like wandering around in a car park for a bit, wondering what's happening. So yeah, I also saw some of the pictures of Psy's set, and they have like the flaming samurai swords,
flaming swords, burning Bibles.
Yeah, the cool clothes, the outfits. Oh my God, I love their outfits, and their makeup is amazing. When I was backstage on a Saturday, I kept seeing their guitarist walking around, and I was like, oh, they're so cool.
Yeah, it's that's probably the big regret I had of the weekend, was just missing that set, because I did hear that it was a good one. But I mean, I will say something quickly about the Enslaved set, because I think me and Shem were saying this, being the fanboys that we are. It's always interesting when you see an album being performed live, because I think it's one thing listening to it with the production values that you're used to, but when you see it with like the production values that they're kind of more using in their modern day set lists, it's just gives the album a different kind of feel and vibe. Mm-hmm. And I think there's so many tracks that, because I love like 99% of Enslaved songs, right? But there's like some tracks on that album that I maybe skip or maybe wouldn't care for too much on records. But seeing it all live played through with the added stage show and everything else, it was just amazing.
It was beautiful. I actually really enjoyed watching everybody else watch that set too, because everyone was just so happy to be there, and it added to the sort of enjoyment of. And I've sat and listened to an Enslaved album all the way through, but I have a really bad memory when it comes to everything. So I've never really unless I listened to it as a teenager, I don't really know it back to front. So like watching an album being played front to back was really interesting for the similar reasons that I kind of got to experience it in a different way, which I really enjoyed, because I did try and like do my homework and listen to stuff before the festival, but it is so much different when you see the band sort of living the music through their instruments.
But that's interesting though, because that's kind of like how I am with music, because I grew up with like the boom of the CD era, and I was like a big CD collector. So many times I'd be going to school, I'd just have the one or two CDs with me, and it's those albums are the ones that I know intrinsically, every riff, every beat. And I feel like, if you get into a band in the streaming era, it's much harder to become that way with a band, because it's like Pandora's box is open. You could, if you bored halfway through, you're like, fuck it, I'll just listen to literally any other song that's ever been released.
It's so different how you structure track listing now for that very reason, because before you'd sort of you could put in a lot more atmospheric stuff at the beginning of the album, whereas now the way I'm thinking about it is like, no, you need to put your hooks right at the beginning to get people interested.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like really win people over before you can introduce them to sort of the more lower energy, more atmosphere building stuff.
That's what for that very reason, I was actually a little bit apprehensive about that Enslaved set. So I was saying this to Shem as well, because like my favorite track on that album is literally the first track, is Fire Swept Clean the Earth. So I was thinking, oh God, it's going to start on such a strong note. And the album's strong, but like, I think what you've just said makes sense. I think because it's such a strong song, it kind of got everybody into the right mindset and vibe.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like continued for like the entire set. So
that's how we're going to do the track listing of the next album. Confirmed. Yeah. And I had that experience very much with the Coronzon set by Akakoko, which was
that was good.
That intro, everyone was like, look into the mirror. It was amazing. Wow. Like, fucking Akakoko, we love them so much.
The sound was amazing as well. Like, fucking, like the drums were on point. Like David Gray sounded unreal.
And they were wearing their suits.
Yeah, they were.
They were wearing. I don't think I've ever seen Akakoko in their suits. I might have seen them once in their suits in like 2006. So almost 20 years. What the fuck?
That was a great set, and such a good album set to do as well. I think they gave us Verdelay at the end as well, didn't they? So just throw in as a little surprise. So.
It was so good.
Valley of the Crucified, like we were just losing our minds, and the crowd was losing their minds as well.
Fervent,
it was a good mosh pit.
Yeah,
there was.
I had the chap next to me screaming to me. Just like, oh, get ready for this. They're amazing. I was like, yeah, I know. That's why I'm fucking here, trying to watch them. They're like mid song. It's like, yeah, but fucking just. You gotta love people at metal festivals.
Every time we go to a show, I turn around. There's always some guy trying to talk to you during a band, and you have the worst hearing of all of us.
I know, right? I'm so fucking deaf. I'm like, fuck me. I've actually got to strain to hear what you're saying, and it's like,
You're always so polite about it as well.
Yeah.
You have like a particular like thing that you do where I can tell you're really like doing your best. It's really sweet. But I remember like looking at a guy and being like, there's no way
I can hear what he's saying. I could have been completely mishearing him, but I was just piecing together words, and but he kept grabbing me here as well. I was like,
what?
Like, he was just really excited.
He was a third of your size.
Yeah.
Bless him. Yeah, but I'd be excited too. I wouldn't grab someone by the collar though.
Well, then is, and I think from what I remember correctly, I think he was Irish, so I don't think he would have had much chance to see them. So he probably didn't get much chance to catch them during like the first. And that's the thing with a band like Akakoko, and I suppose a lot of people there who are maybe a bit younger, like early mid-20s, they would have missed them on the first run.
Oh man, I never really thought about that.
So like to catch
young people.
And there was a lot of young people at the actual show, right?
It was a really diverse crowd, actually. I really enjoyed that. And it's really cool to see more people catching on to them as a band, because like they never really got the recognition that they deserved. They are such fucking incredible musicians. And like, I know they had a little bit of technical trouble during that set, but they sounded fucking amazing and no one noticed anyway. And they didn't... That's the thing with playing live, is that like, it's kind of... Sometimes those mistakes add to the magic of the occasion. It's like watching people still execute a fucking incredible live show makes it what it is. Like the fact that if something sounded exactly how it was on the record, it wouldn't be as good. Like you wouldn't bother going to see the band. And I've heard people say that about certain bands that I really love. They're like, oh, but they sound exactly the same live as they do on record, so I'm just going to stay home. Is a thing that some people say.
Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? Because I suppose there's a lot of times where, if I'm comparing, say, the Meshuggah set at Bloodstock, right? And I'd go out on a limb, and they've released that live set recently, and that sounds better.
Yeah.
Some of the songs sound better in that live setting than they do in studio.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's so many times I've been to festivals and gigs where I'm just like, where a track on an album that I'm maybe not that fond of. Same with Behemoth, it's happened with them loads of times. Or Behemoth, sorry to give it the correct pronunciation. But seeing them where I'm just like, well, I thought, oh man, that song sucks ass. But like on records, but I was like, oh, yeah, live, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly, totally. And I think that's why we go and see bands live. And the energy of the crowd was just beautiful. Stunning. Yeah,
that was a great set. And we I think we were too tired to catch any Catatonia. They were playing Dead End Kings. I did catch a little bit of Leprous, by the way.
Oh, really?
And they were really good. So cool. I'm a big fan of the album Cold that they played in full.
Nice.
And it did sound tremendous for my tastes.
That's fantastic. I had to like get my vocal rest and sleep because I was working the next day as well as a little guest for another band. But I did blow my voice a little bit screaming to all the Akakoka bits I knew. There's just so many moments in that album that are just iconic to me. Yeah.
Well, at least you had enough cold therapy when we got back to the Airbnb.
Fuck me, that Airbnb. It's the last time I book an Airbnb in a rush.
Best sleep of my life. Window open, about like 2 degrees outside. Loved it.
There was no heating in this Airbnb.
No, there was.
It didn't work.
No, we didn't know how to turn it on.
Oh, we didn't know how to turn it on. Well, we didn't know. There were instructions. We followed them. No heating occurred. And we were just me and Shem were just shivering our tits off all night. Barely slept a wink. And Floyd was having the sleep of his life with the window open. It was so cold. Oh my God. It was like a proper, when you go around someone's house is like your late teens, early 20s, and you don't really have the confidence to like ask for a blanket. Or like you've got to sort of sleep in the corner of a room. Like no one really cares about your well-being, so you just sort of like huddle up with like what you've got. And you just make
Have you
the
seen
best
those
of it.
memes about that? It's like I've seen so many. There's like fucking one of like a kid and he's like sleeping on the couch. He's got like a TV over him. It's that total. It's that thing. It's like you don't want to ask for anything. So you're just like, fuck it.
You just got to find what's like around.
Yeah.
And you're just freezing so much. It's that kind of cold where you can't do anything about it. So you're like cold to your soul.
I remember we had a moment once. This friend who's going to remain unnamed, but they know who the fuck they are. They went around to theirs to watch a wrestling pay-per-view. Not the most recent one, but one last year, and it was in summer. And it was in the middle of the night, and then like me and another friend just locked eyes, and we're like, and it was July, so we're like, it's the fucking heating on. We're just like, it's so fucking hot. But like, not once did we think maybe we should ask to turn it off or open the window. Let's just suffer in silence. It's their house, their rules.
So British. That is so British. I love it.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, well, those days are hopefully over. I don't want to be that cold ever again, Jesus Christ. But then in the morning, we woke up, which was good.
I'm glad we woke up. That would have been a depressing end to the podcast. We died.
We're talking to you from hell. Yeah. Imagine if you died and there was an afterlife and there were like afterlife podcasts and you still became a podcaster in the afterlife. That would be so weird.
Podcasting feels like you're dead sometimes.
It does. You kind of enter you're kind of like, this is my life, and you see like a ghostly version of your past flicker before your eyes, and you're like, oh wow, that happened.
I mean, I thought I passed away about 3 times during the Grave Lines episode, so yeah.
That's one of the best episodes.
It was a great episode.
And there's that French band, isn't there? She passed away, which is now how I see those words in my head, even though it's incorrect.
Yeah, what are they like? I've seen their name.
Are they actually good?
Yeah, we saw them at Hellfest.
I don't remember.
Really good. Shit! Yeah. That's where I remember it from. Yeah.
Oh man.
When me and Nina went to Berlin so she could get tattooed, I was like playing loads of post-punk because I was like, "You're in Berlin, you got to play post-punk," and she's like, "What are you talking about?" And then like she passed away, came up on one of the post-punk playlists, and yeah, they're really sick.
They were in the tent, weren't they? They were in the temple or the altar, right?
Yeah. They're a really great band.
I remember.
Really like them.
Yeah, they're really good. They're like post-punk with like Depeche Mode shit going on as well.
Yeah, shockingly, I'm actually starting to somewhat like some Depeche Mode moments, which is quite disturbing. I never thought that would happen. It's really upsetting.
Best band.
So Saturday we basically waltzed into Damnation. There was a moment where because I had to get in early to do sound check with Kurokuma, who I was guesting with, because they're very lovely, generous musicians that day. There was a moment where we had to go in through security, and like I kind of did that thing where sometimes I have to kind of blag a little bit to get in. And like I had the artist pass, thankfully, but then you guys were like with me, and I didn't want you guys to have to wait, so the security were like, "Oh, you guys, you an artist?" And I was like, "Yeah," and then they looked at you guys and I was like, "They're with me." And we just walked in, and I felt like such a dickhead doing that.
We could have been like the Borstal, the people with the balaclavas with the truncheons.
Yeah, I mean, I did need your support.
We looked like we belonged there, to be fair.
We weren't causing any trouble, so I hope that was okay. I'm very sorry if we did, but we didn't, to my knowledge. But I felt like a rock star / dickhead in that moment, and I really enjoyed it doing that, rolling that line out. It's just one peg below. Do you know who I am? I think.
I tried to get you to say that.
I'm never going to say that. I'm never saying that. But no, Saturday was amazing. Honestly, this is probably one of the best experiences I've had at a UK festival in a really long time. I really, really enjoyed that day. It was absolutely mad. When we got in, I think it was before, I think we missed Savor, who I really wanted to see. Was it? I think they were. Didn't we talk to them? Really? It was Laster. It wasn't Savor, it was Laster. They have similar sounding names, and I mixed them up.
But Laster are a sick band. I saw them at Roadburn.
They are really good.
A few years back, they were amazing.
They are really good. Savor are also very good, but Laster are also very good too. Yeah, we were doing like an interview with those people from the festival, and I walked up to a guy on merch. I was like, "Oh, what band are you in?" He was like, "Laster," and I was like, "Sorry, I didn't see your set." Yeah, I felt really bad.
Well, to be fair, they did clash with Coffin Mulch, who I think me and Shem watched that set, and we were interviewing Rich and Fraser from the band later, which was a really fun interview.
It was great. You got to like go down to your Scottish roots.
yeah, talk about crystallized fudge, otherwise known as tablet and Iron Brew.
It sounds like either an app or a drug.
Yeah. So have you tried my mum's tablet? Have I not?
Maybe.
She's definitely made it while I've known you, but surprised I'm not. Next time she makes it, I'll bring some over.
I would love that.
It's so fucking sweet.
I love that.
It's amazing.
I'm down for them some tablet.
But Coffin Mulch were really good live. Like we saw them, they're kind of like a bit of a rising star on the death metal scene.
Yeah.
And seems to be a lot of bands. We were talking about this on the interview, which is now live, isn't it?
Go check it out.
Just had to double check to make sure we had uploaded it. But it's and it's like I like it when bands, because the thing is, I'll be honest, I'm not super big on the OSDM revival so much. They've got to be a very good band. We've got to be very good as songwriters, really, to be able to kind of like capture my attention. So, and I think, part of that is also, I think, having that package of being a good live band as well as being good on records. And I was impressed. I thought they were really good live. They had this really cool backdrop, which was just like this, like kind of like live graphic of like this rotten meat. I thought was really cool.
Wow.
And I know, I forgot his fucking name, but the vocalist is like he's vegan, and I think it was kind of like tailored towards. Which is cool. I'm glad that that's becoming something that's,
it's great,
more prevalent in the scene. And like the same with like food options and stuff as well. Because I remember back in the days, even going somewhere like Damnation, there'd be like just a burger van outside, and that was basically it. That was your lot. And there was the bit we could get like a pasty from like the little thing inside the Union Hall bit. But it's it's cool. Shows like cattle decapitation were onto something all those years ago.
Yeah, while you guys were watching Coffin Mulch, I was sort of wandering around backstage, trying to work out what I was supposed to do and where I was supposed to be, because you definitely get a bit of imposter syndrome being in a place like Damnation when you're used to playing the smaller venues. So I basically wandered backstage, and there was this huge like buffet breakfast area for the artists, which is amazing. They really look after their artists at Damnation. And all of the bands, like the bigger headliners and stuff, they had the VIP boxes. And there was some other ones, like also really nice rooms for the smaller guys. Just really, it was luxurious back there. I felt like I was sort of infringing upon some luxury space I shouldn't be in. And then David Gray from Akakoka and Al Nafrak for that day was there, and he was like, "Oh, Nina, hi. Come and have some breakfast with us." And I was like, okay. So I got my little paper plate and I filled it up with grapes and celery and like nice bits of food. And they had like hot sauces and stuff, like Damnation hot sauce with a really cool artwork on it. And just a huge selection of different things like charcuterie and little pot noodles. And they had vegan ones as well. So I had one of those. And I went and had breakfast with an Al Nafrak in the little box. It was just really nice. They were all so nice to me. And Dave was there and Sam was there and Dan and all the folks that we've had on this podcast. We haven't had Dan yet though. We should soon. And they just sort of welcomed me there. And as I was getting my breakfast, someone was in front of me and he turned around with a plate full of like food, and it was Justin from Electric Wizard. Oh, cool. And we both just sort of like were like, oh, okay. And it was really surreal to be back there. Like the people from Psy were there. One of them had brought their kid, and she was just wandering around. It was really cute. And we saw Ash from Strigoi. and Chris as well. And it was really nice. And apparently while I was warming up in one of the changing rooms. Huh? Ben Ash. Sorry. Just execute me for crimes against memory.
Ben, you just said the wrong thing.
I did, yes.
To be fair, you probably do that to them what we do. Like, I know so many people with like names like Chris and Ben. I stopped referring to them by their surnames.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah. We have like multiple Chris's.
I know so many Chris's.
But yeah, as I was like warming up for the guest spot with Kurokuma before they arrived, and there was like, I think one of the guys from maybe Crepitation was warming up at the same time. So there was like the sound of Tibetan throat singing and me just sort of doing like weird like soprano shit. And then when I came out, Ben Ash was like, that was a really weird thing to listen to. It was like guttural growls and someone like opera singing at the same time, because like everybody could hear it, and I felt super self-conscious, but I had to do it, and I guess that's what those rooms are for. So yeah, apologies to anyone I traumatized that day.
Did you watch Crepitation? They played Uprising. Same
they
as
were
you guys, right?
so good.
See, I love that, because you see that
so
cool shit
good.
they do where they like use their fucking fingers to like ululate like the guttural growls.
They played.
So sick.
I think they played Doom Lines. They were like
Oh,
right.
the Doom Lines. Oh,
I think they were
my
right
bad. Sorry, I thought it
after
was
us.
Uprising.
I think, and oh my god, yeah, they were. I was really looking forward to seeing them, and they're really, really nice guys as well. And we do have an interview with them that you can also watch currently on YouTube, and it's live.
Nice.
Yes, very nice. Yeah, and then what happened after that?
And I think you've done your guest spot with Kurokuma.
Yeah, that was really cool. Kurokuma are
Yeah,
amazing.
it seemed to be very well received from those. A lot of people that was just like, not hate to embarrass you, but when we were trying to leave on the day that you got stopped about 6 times from people saying, I loved your guest spot.
It was really weird in a nice way. Yeah, we were just like, it was really strange because Shem was in the car, me and Floyd, like we were walking from the venue, and then we just kept getting stopped like multiple times, and it was really I just didn't know how to react to it. Really, there was a lot of people. I think there must have been at least 1,000, if not more people.
It seemed to be quite a good turnout. Like I know obviously there was a bit of, but I think everyone's kind of struggling to like sell tickets and events recently with cost of living. I hate to sound like a broken record because everyone talks about it, but the cost of living crisis and stuff, it is tricky to get good turnouts when everybody is struggling so much financially. But from what I could tell, it looked like a pretty good fucking turnout to me. Like the hall was absolutely jam-packed when Electric Wizard were playing and a lot of the bigger bands on the main stage.
And it's a big hall. I think it's like
big hall.
10,000 cap hall.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they sold 6,000, maybe more tickets. I think they've already sold. So they did a massive pre-sale, and I think they've already sold like 1,500.
Oh, they've killed it on the pre-sale from what I've seen. Yeah,
they've done really, really well. So I'm really happy because like this is testament. Like you're going to have a good experience.
Well, I think that's what's great about this year. I think there's a lot of people who took a punt on it, had an absolutely amazing time, and that's guaranteed their attendance for next year.
Yeah.
I think that's where you want to be with a festival. You want the experience to be what sells the tickets as opposed to the lineup, because, obviously you need a good lineup to ensure that experience is met and upheld. But I felt like now it's their second year at the BEC. I felt like any kind of things that might have been like tricky the first year, like the food vendors and stuff. Like I don't think there was enough food vendors the first year, but I think that's the same problem that Outbreak had when they first held it there. Like you need to get those iron out those kinks and have a first year there to work out how to just improve it year on year. And I think they kind of hit the ground running this year. And I think really there wasn't really anything to complain about from a logistic or an experience perspective.
No, I don't think there was. The only thing that I heard people complain about was the puddles, and you can't really control that.
Oh yeah,
it was just a fucking massive puddle.
That fucking huge. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
It was so big.
It was like something like a crystal maze to get past it. Yeah.
So funny the amount of times that people were like tiptoeing over it, but that's not really something you can blame on the promoters.
No. But I will say, there's nothing funnier than watching metalheads trying to cross a puddle or just trying to do something athletic, because it's just comedy gold.
Oh my god, yeah. There was a moment where Shem was walking over a tiny plank with all of the podcast gear on his back. We were like, what are you doing?
I don't know, if I try that, there's no way I'm not like going face down in that mud.
That was legit. Yeah, I'm really glad we didn't drive into the actual the inside bit of Damnation. I would say it would have been quite difficult to find if I was on my own. The fact that you knew the way was really good.
I think even then I got lost a little bit, because it is like an industrial estate, so it's just like it is quite samey. But it's but I think because we arrived on the Friday as well, and I think because we arrived quite late It was
that's
normally I
true.
follow the crowd typically when I'm going to a festival. I just look for anybody wearing a patch jacket and being like,
that person knows. Yeah, that was good. And like we parked by the tram. There's like this big car park, and it was supposed to be for tram users only, so we just bought a weekend tram ticket.
Yes, which is quite cheap, right? So
it was like £6.50.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good for 2 days worth of parking.
No parking ticket yet?
No parking ticket yet, no fines. So I think that's how it works. So that was really good. So that hopefully will answer some questions that people might have for like the logistics of driving there. It was really, really simple. It was like a 5-minute walk from the car park, from the train station.
Yeah, I mean, well, all intents and purposes, it seemed quite easy to get to. A bit of traffic, but I mean, but Manchester's a huge city, so what do you expect? It's like complaining about traffic if you've got to drive through London. So what do you expect?
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be traffic for any festival you go to anyway. Yeah. That was really good. So yeah, after Kurokuma, I should probably talk about the set too, actually. They kind of fuse, they have like some Turkish influence on their music, which I really like, and it's like really doomy, it's really groovy. And those guys are so fucking good at songwriting. And their new album, I've listened to the pre-production for it is so good. It's really good. And I would say that because I'm a bit on it. So
yeah, it was fucking
really
immense.
fun.
It was a great show. And they had a second guest as well.
They did, Judah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. He started freestyling over their music. Everyone was like, what the fuck? This is like, it's so left field.
I've never seen a rapper at Damnation ever. So
Me too. And he was really good at it as well.
Yeah, so kudos to the guys for, throwing a bit of experimentation out there.
Yeah, he also has a band that I should mention, Lobotomica. Hang on.
Because the problem is, you want to try and say it like Metallica, right? But there's that extra syllable.
Lobotomica.
Lobotomica.
Yeah, I think that.
Lobotomica. All right. Sorry for butchering that name, but it's legit. Judah's great. He's really fucking talented. Really nice guy. The vibe was so good on that stage. And we were just like, everyone was like so happy to be there. We didn't have any time to prepare for the guest spot either. We didn't rehearse the song. And I improvised it, so we just kind of like felt it out during the sound check and then just did it, and it went okay, which is good. No one fucked up. I mean, I didn't. And then after that, yeah, go on.
You were saying that lots of people were saying how much fans they were of your guest spot. Do you remember who else said they really liked your guest spot? We bumped into Julie Christmas in the corridor, and she turned around. I don't think Nina knew who it was at first because she wasn't like wearing her makeup or anything. And then she was just like, and then she turns around, and then like out of nowhere, like Julie Christmas to Nina was like, "You were amazing, by the way." She pointed at you, and she was like, "You're amazing." And I was just like, "Holy fuck, that's Julie Christmas." And then I'm having like a nerdy moment where I'm like, "Oh, you're amazing." And I was like, "I really love your music. So excited to see you." And she was like, and it was really funny because she went from being like, "Oh, Nina, you're amazing," and to then me just being a fan. She's like, "Oh, this fucking guy." But she fucking rules anyway. It was great.
She was really good. I was like utterly shocked when that happened.
Her set was amazing. Like,
she was so good.
Yeah, I caught most of it from kind of like the press area bit, but it was just unreal.
She was playing Battle of My Stuff.
Yeah. It was cool.
Oh my god. Her voice is. Oh, yeah.
She's the sort of artist that kind of like transcends the genre a little bit because it's like you could tell she's got a lot of cross appeal. There's a lot of people that are just music lovers and appreciators that would just totally dig her thing, and it's such a good stage show and everything as well.
I heard that she was also like in the crowd for a lot of bands that evening, which I think is so
pit,
cool.
I think she was in the pit for someone.
Wow.
Gavin was in the pit. We'll talk about. No, Gavin was in the pit for. Oh no, that was later on for Anal Nathrak. Yeah, he was kind of like crowd surfing and kind of doing this human pyramid thing. It was cool.
That's so cool. That is so cool. I love that. Even the people working there, all the artists were having such a good time. After Kurokuma, we did most of the interviews. Basically, we were just sort of back to back.
I did watch all of Chemist's set by myself.
Oh,
and
nice.
We interviewed Chemist as well.
Yeah.
And they were fucking amazing. So
I'm gutted I missed them.
I'd seen them live once before because I was lucky enough to be in New York the same time they were playing.
Yeah, with Enslaved.
Yeah, Enslaved, Wolves in the Throne Room, and Merca, which I've talked about multiple times on the podcast. But it's... it was great because it was a much bigger stage, higher production. Their twin lead guitar melodies are just absolutely gorgeous. And I'll tell you what a bunch of fucking nice guys.
They were so sweet.
It was their first time in the UK. They were so chill. They were up, like they totally got the gist of the podcast.
Yeah.
With the sidecards and stuff. Just honest
The
to God,
PR is so lovely as well.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out, Lisa.
And generous as well, because we did go over.
Well, I felt really bad. I really thought it was 15 minutes, but it was half an hour. We are actually going to tack that interview onto the end of this podcast. So if you want to listen to it, just keep on listening and you'll get there. Yeah, they were fucking lovely. We talked to Coffin Mulch. We talked to Kurokuma. We also spoke to other bands. Who else did we speak to? Crepitation we spoke to. I think that's everybody.
Kurokuma, Crepitation,
Chemist.
Yes. It felt like more.
Every band's name started with K.
I did not realise that.
Yeah.
It's like the Kardashians.
Yeah.
We just did K names.
It was one long stretch though, wasn't it? So like for a good few hours, that's just kind of what we were doing. We were just up in the press area just getting that shit done.
So because of that, we did miss quite a few bands.
Yeah, I did hear Unearth in the back a few times. Like during mid-interviews, I'd hear like a breakdown come in. And just,
yeah, we were just sort of like vibing during the interviews.
I couldn't hear shit during the Kurokuma interview. I was like, I had no idea what the fuck anyone's saying. But it was great. It was a good interview still.
It was all in a gym as well, which was quite surreal. There was like a moment on Friday night where we were just running around like playing with the equipment.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah. We did see some of Undeaf, which was really good.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
Such a good live band. Exactly what I was saying about Coffin Mulch. The same thing applies to Undeaf, you know. Like they've got that fucking old school sound down pat. They've got like the songwriting down pat. Just Alex is such a good frontman. Yeah. The smiliest frontman in death metal.
I saw him briefly backstage, and Shem did as well, actually. And he gave me his poetry book, which is so good. You need, if you can get your hand on his poetry, you need to. It's so beautiful. There's there's a poem about a dog called White Mastiff. Oh. And this poem like made me tear up.
Yeah, it made me cry.
And I was like, I like showed it to Shem. I was like, Shem, you have to read this. You have to read this. And he just started tearing up as well. It's like, it is one of the most
devastating.
It's like, it's about a white mastiff. It's about a dog that basically is mistreated by its owner, and it doesn't understand why it's being mistreated, and it still loves the owner, and the owner is like fucked up. And like, there's this line about like, the halls of the mind of this dog and its confusion at like the love that it receives. Just get his fucking book. It's really good. Yeah. Get his book. I need to find I think you have to like contact him directly to get it. Why can't I find...
Just hit up Undeaf.
Hit up Undeaf, right? And get their fucking poetry, because it will make you cry, yeah? So do that. It's really good.
Yeah, no, I'll check it out as well. You've got a copy, right?
I have a copy. I should have actually brought it on with me here. It's called Den Mother Rhythm, and I think it's about 25 poems. I can do language. 25 poem. Yeah, it's gorgeous. I think they're like $15.
Cool.
Yeah, big plug there. Undeaf were fantastic. Really, really good front people. Front people. What's wrong with me?
Great merch too.
Great merch.
That merch is sick.
Their merch
Love
was
the logo.
So good.
Like such a good logo.
It's fantastic. It's really recognizable. Who did we see after Undeaf?
Missed Psy again.
Shit. I think we had to get
sick
food.
As always. Yeah. I was flagging.
Oh my god, I was so tired.
I watched Rotten Sound by myself, and I was right next to the pit, and they were fucking amazing. I've never seen them before. I'm a big grindcore head. And I think I've definitely said this before on the podcast, so I'll keep this brief. One of the biggest misconceptions about grindcore, I think a lot of people lump it in with like gore grind and like porno grind and all that shit. It's totally not. It's totally political, and it's got like that punk rock kind of ethos to it.
Yeah, man.
And it's like there's so much good shit in grindcore that just totally gets overlooked by a lot of metal people for whatever reason. Rotten Sound are in that exact same vein. They were so like vicious, and it was just absolutely such a sick set. Like it was honest to God. Like, I was flagging so much, I watched them, and it was like I just got caffeine injected straight into my veins. Like, it was just kept me going for the rest of the evening.
I think at this point, I was absolutely fucked. I was watching Catatonia from the balcony with, like, some of the people from Psy. We were just sort of, like, politely smiling at each other and watching Catatonia. It was nice. really wholesome. Because I literally couldn't walk. Like, my body was, like, drained of every ounce of energy I had. I think a lot of people... If you'd gone to both nights and you'd sort of had a work week and like I also knew that I was going to be working the next day from a really, really early hour. My body was just like, you need to stop now. Otherwise, I would have gone and seen Anafrak, and I really genuinely regret not being able to see them.
Yeah, they were sick. So it was a mad end to the festival because I was just jumping from stage to stage. So I went from Rotten Sound directly to watch the Enslaved set. I'll openly admit,
I saw Enslaved. Yeah,
it's not my favorite album. There's far better Enslaved albums. Saying that, it was cool to see this material played live because a lot of it had never been played live. Yeah. Well, definitely not in the UK before. And it was great. And once again, the stage production, everything was amazing. To be honest, if you really want to hear me wax lyrical about Enslaved, you could just watch me and Shems.
Oh yeah, 3 hour deep dive.
3 hour deep dive into them if you really want to hear what we think. I've seen them live loads of times. They're always fucking sick. And I'm looking forward to seeing them again. They're playing somewhere again some point in the new year, so I'll catch them again.
Yeah. Yeah, they're touring with Svalbard.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
That's a good pairing.
Yeah, it's a very good pairing.
And then I watched Nal Nathrak. They're amazing. Like I said before, Gavin was in there just getting down in the pit. It was a great set. A good mix of, because I actually really like the new album Endarkment. And
yeah, it's really good.
When we saw them play at Scala at the end of last year, I think they only played 1 or 2 tracks because I think they hadn't really had much time to really, because it's basically Dave with voices.
It's Nafrakakoka.
Yeah. Nafrakakoka, that's good. Who coined that?
They did, I think.
Oh, good. That's cool. But yeah, and it was cool to see them. Like, they obviously had a bit more time to rehearse and get shit together, and they were as good, if not better, than they were at the Scala. Like, they're just he's an absolutely ridiculously good frontman.
Yeah.
Like, he's got that kind of Midlands, Barney Greenway-esque stage banter that only people from the Midlands can have. Real sense of nihilism and just, but still jolly in a weird way.
Yeah, he's got a PhD in misery.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love the guy.
But it was fucking sick and it was good. And then after that, immediately going to watch Wizard.
Oh my god, Wizard was amazing. I basically I know that some bands get funny about you watching them side stage, but because I had the AAA artist pass, I was like, do I go down there? Am I gonna be annoying them? And then there's a little balcony that the artists can watch side stage from above, which is quite nice. And we were all waiting there because I really wanted to get a good spot. And then everyone just went downstairs and went onto stage after they'd gone on stage. So I was like, well, if they're there, I think I'll go down too. Because I definitely felt a little bit oh, I don't want to annoy anyone. I don't want to get in the way. I feel it was such a privilege to get to see the festival in the way that I did. And I'm so appreciative of Gavin and Paul for just being yeah, of course you can have a guest artist at Kurokuma, and them for inviting me and being cool with me just going and fucking improvising on stage with them. But yeah, I got to watch Wizard side stage, which was the only other time I did that was 10 years ago, maybe more, at Hellfest. And it was fucking amazing. They played Super Coven, they played Funerapolis at the stroke of midnight, which was incredible. The crowd was just fucking wild. Someone offered me magic mushrooms before they started playing. I said no, obviously, because, I was on the clock. But it was quite a magical evening. And even though I was really exhausted at this point, I got to sit down on a drum riser that I think Enslaved were using previously. It was really cool to watch the changeover between the bands, because the bands had pre-constructed their kits and stuff on these risers that they could roll across the stage, and you kind of got to see from behind the bands doing that, changing their gear over. So I was really fascinated by actually watching the setup take place and seeing all the stuff you don't normally get to see at a festival, and from literally from a bird's eye view. So it was this kind of voyeur of the happenings, the machinations of the backstage, and I felt really fascinated just watching everybody. So there was such a huge team of people just taking care of one big ass stage, and seeing them just methodically dismantling everything and then assembling the next thing in one go. It was really interesting. But yeah, that set by Wizard was amazing. That was the fullest I'd seen that room all weekend as well. It
was, I think that was definitely the big draw of the festival, wasn't it?
100%.
It was, and they were fucking great. They're always so good live. It's funny when they started playing Funerapolis, I was thinking in my head, I was yeah, this is definitely going over. I was like, the set's meant to finish now.
Exactly. I was like, that's such a wizard thing to do, to be like, I don't fucking care. We're just going to play this song now. And it like, I think they finished at like 10, 14. I think it was 14 minutes past midnight. Yeah. I think I remember looking at my phone like, yep, that's badass. And the whole set was fire. Like, there is not one Wizard song that isn't a banger for me.
No, they're so good. They're such a vibey band, aren't they? Yeah. It's just, they're the perfect. And do you know what? It's funny. It's like, there's a lot of bands who are kind of like at the head of their respective subgenre, right? Mm. And like, you know, like they have become, obviously, I mean, it'd be remiss for me to claim they're as big as Sabbath, right? But they are the sort of bands that have kind of like mastered that niche of that subgenre.
Yeah, they're the kings of their...
Yeah. And like no other band really comes close.
They have a mystique that I think in the modern era, you just can't really build that easily, because now if you want to kind of grow as a band, you have to do the social media thing, and you can't really do that in like, they're really good at it. They're really good at sort of promoting themselves without promoting themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a really like a genuine art that I think I don't think I could ever do that the way they do it. Like, you kind of have to put yourself out there in a sort of like, this is what I'm actually like way. Whereas they are legalized drugs and murderers people. Yeah. Not that they are like murderers and drug users or anything. I'm not saying that. But they just have that vibe. Like, you can tell that they are doing that music in the way that's like genuinely, that's kind of like what they're like. And I fucking love the film choices they use. The backdrop that they have with like the pornography and the old Hammer horror films.
It was great to watch from the crowd. I was actually like quite... I don't like to be like too up in the mix sometimes. Depends on the band. Band like Wizard, I like to be a little bit further back to get a good full view of the stage and not being like jostled by anybody. I've kind of got like my own little space, and it was just, but it was great. It was so good.
I really like being able to watch them sort of from the side, because I was able to like watch the film unfold, watch them, see exactly what they were doing, and I could watch the crowd as well.
Yeah.
And everyone was so happy.
Yeah.
Everyone was like really excited and smiling, and like that was just, it was such a good way to close the festival on such a high.
I tell you what, that's an underrated part of like, whether it be you've got like a seated or like a balcony seat or whatever, actually watching like a crowd react from a distance.
It's so nice.
It's actually quite a cool way to experience a concert.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of like that when we saw Nathrak at Scala as well. Like, it was seeing like the wall of death from there.
My God.
I was just like, I'm far away from that shit. I have no bearing on my enjoyment, but I still enjoy watching people like crashing into each other. But it was,
Yeah, it's true. Watching a pit and being next to a pit is two completely different things.
I do. There's a part of me that does like being next to a pit, because it was like when we watched Conan, like the show that you guys were supporting.
Crazy.
Right, I was like fucking considering it. I was thinking like, shit, am I gonna come out of retirement?
Yeah.
That's some better call the cops. It's some bodies.
That pit reached our merch table. That's how big that pit was.
Yeah, we had to protect like the merch. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, big respect to those pit heads.
Rotten Sound had a
Conan could command. They'd be a good choice for next year.
They would kill it at Damnation.
Yeah.
I've never seen them at Damnation. They must have played at some point. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Surely, they played everything. I'd love to see Coroner and Demolish play Damnation one year.
Coroner would be,
Coroner would be good.
Demolish as well. That band's just permanently due their flowers.
And they're fantastic live. I want to see Anti Bowman like do his like stage banter to 10,000 people.
That'd be amazing.
Be an Anti Bowman stand-up set as well.
That's an interesting thing. Who would you book as a headliner for next year? Who would you?
I think it would be so difficult for them to top like the last 2 years of lineups that they've had.
Well, when we done the little Q&A with people, a lot of people were saying Dragged into Sunlight.
They were.
A good 3 or 4 people, I think, mentioned them, right?
Not for headliner, though. Just play it.
Yeah, just play. Oh, yeah, they're definitely not as headliner. No.
Maybe Ahab.
Just
Ahab. They were so unlucky that Ahab cancelled. It was no one's fault. It just happened.
But it's always the mark of a festival, a good festival, when they're able to recover from like a late cancellation.
They had like
that.
a Bosk superset, right?
Yeah.
Which is really cool that they could assemble that.
And
so
same
quickly.
with Tuskar as well. They replaced them with Din of Celestial Birds, which was meant to be a great set. Apparently, we didn't watch it because we weren't there yet.
Yeah, it was so late. Yeah, I think they did amazing with like everything that happened. I think next year, I really want to know who they're going to book.
I'd book Fetus again if it was me. Bring back Dying Fetus. Dying Fetus killed it in like 2018, 17, where they played. That's cool. They were unreal.
Are they BEC headliners?
Definitely not headliners. You could definitely put them high up on the bill, especially on that second stage.
I think they'd be like second to the pre-headliner.
They could headline the second stage, the slightly smaller one.
That's true, actually.
The eyesore stage. I think it's the eyesore. I get confused with the names. Pins and Knuckles is the main one, I'm pretty sure.
I think Conan could headline the smallest one, maybe.
That would be unreal, yeah.
That would be good. And Blood Incantation. I don't know. I don't think they'd be main headliners. They're not like Electric Wizard, Ministry. No. I think that's the thing. It's like, because I don't know how they split their budget, but like some certain bands, they'll be like 200 grand. You know, like do you blow all your budget on like the headliner, or do you just have like loads of sick bands?
I think that's getting into the nitty gritty of the difficult part of booking a festival, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like really, when you've got like a festival that has like a particular niche, or I will say Damnation's done a good job of broadening their horizons a bit. Like they've included like a lot of the post and the stone and stuff. So it's not just a straight up death black metal festival, which it kind of was a few years running. There's only so many headliners you could choose from.
It's true.
And I've seen that in so many other festivals. Take a Download, for example, like how many times they're going to have Maiden or Rammstein, but then who else is there of that caliber that's in that, you know, when you start thinking about your demographic as the niche and the subgenre or the genre of music that you can book within, and then, you know, it's like you're just narrowing your options to a point where you're left with like, well, we've probably got to do a repeat booking at some point. Like,
yeah, it's true.
So maybe bring back like an OPEF or something. Or
so sorry. What do you guys think about? Because I think with Damnation that they do a really good job of kind of creating a space. Like they don't pollute it with too much other stuff. And I think that a lot of the people go to Damnation like it because they're like, oh, I'm not going to have loads of garbage shoved down my throat. Whereas if they like... Because it's tricky for Damnation now, because it's like they could lean more into like genty stuff, or they could lean into that and this, but it would like... I think, like, do you think it would affect things if they started getting more bands of other genres and stuff like, you know, you're saying there's never been rappers and things like that. Do you think it would have an adverse effect somehow because of the nature of Damnation Festival? Because it's more of like a finely curated tastemaker kind of festival. I've always thought of it as.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, because the thing is, if you think about, because everybody who was doing festivals or running events now is trying to do as many as they can at the moment. And now that things have eased up, there seems to be so many more cropping up. So, like, I think what you want to do, you've got to be careful, I think, you've got to pay attention to the time of when the festival is and what's happening around that time. Because if you lead into something a bit more genty, you've got to be careful of stepping on Arctangent's toes, for example, and making sure that, you know, because you've got
exclusivities and things like that, yeah.
Because if you're booking bands who you would likely see at one of those festivals, like, you know, I'll just say it's like, you know, Meshuggah are now playing Arctangent, right? And I'm thinking, well, I just saw probably one of the best sets of my life when they headlined Bloodstock. So don't get me wrong, I'd love to go and see them again. Yeah. But that's just an example of just why you've got to be so careful about the time between booking those sort of bands. Yeah. Like a year makes sense because it's enough time, really. If you're a big fan of the band, you wouldn't mind watching them like a year apart. But it's certainly a good fit. But it's, oh yeah, definitely. They'll go down an absolute storm. I've never been to Arctangent, but I can imagine
you'll love Arctangent.
They would absolutely, that's such a good choice for a headliner for them.
I think they're actually going to be the new Bloodstock in a few years, in a way.
Could be.
I'm sorry, I had a really wonderful time at Arctangent, but one thing that their sound was nowhere near as good as Bloodstock or Damnation. Like Damnation, I didn't see a single technical issue with sound all weekend. Like it's like from the fest, they had their shit on lock. And Bloodstock, I've never really seen that as an issue, but I absolutely adored Arctangent, but the sound really does need to be better because we knew someone that went to see Death Heaven, like the vocals weren't working for like half the set and stuff. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's true, because I think you're always going to have like technical hiccups, right, at any festival. So I think it's about trying to mitigate that as much as possible. Mm-hmm. But no, I agree with like the Damnation sound was absolutely on point. Yeah. That's always been a strong selling point for me. I can't remember a Damnation where there was ever really like a major sound issue. Well, I say that everybody. I mean, I'm sure Gavin's talked about this on his Damnation podcast about the whole thing with Mayhem wanting to use their own soundboard to play, and that. But that's like a pretty unique, extenuating circumstance.
Yeah.
But it's but no, like it's always sounds so good, and it's the indoor thing for me. I think it's quite tricky to get a good outdoor sound, and it's even trickier to get a good outdoor tent sound.
It's
like,
true.
Tents are so hit or miss for me. I've been to some that it's just like definite. And I'm just like, I went to watch this will age. This is not aged well. When Inquisition played before the accusations came out, and I was like, this is fucking unbearable. I can't listen to this. So I think it's all right for me to say I went to watch Inquisition before I knew.
You wouldn't have watched them after the accusations, is what you were saying.
They would have been booked. But
well, it depends on the festival.
Yeah, that's true. But
yeah, no, I thought from the crew to the people working in production, everybody at Damnation was so nice. Everyone was just so freaking lovely, and like you can just tell that they hire people that like care about the festival, which I think is lovely. And the security were like really good as well. So
they're great. Just top to toe, it was just a fantastic experience, and worth the 4 a.m. drive back.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry about that drive back.
So I thought it was quite serene. I got to that point where I reached that level of tiredness where it's almost like a zen-like state, where I just feel like
just fucked.
I'm transcending the peripheral.
Yeah, it was. I basically didn't sleep because it was so fucking cold. So we got home at like 3 a.m, and then we left at like 5 a.m, I think, or 4 a.m.
We got back about 1, in which let's have a couple hours. Because we ended up sleeping for a little bit. Well, I managed to get like a solid 2 hours.
I basically lay in that cold ass bed just thinking about sleeping, and then got up again.
This festival is so good. We did it even though we had to like get up and drive all the way back to London on like zero sleep.
Had
like,
we
weren't
missing
Sunday, it was
which
that
was
good.
More than that was worth it.
Yeah, it was.
It was good.
The merch tent, did you guys talk about that?
No, the merch tent, well, I think we got there. I remember going there on the Friday, and it had some pretty good merch available. I actually quite liked the Damnation merch this year. I thought the designs
really
they had
cool.
was actually pretty sick.
And they had like different designs for different tastes, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the fact that there's a lot of bands or just like a lot of merch designs now that embrace the fact that not everybody wants a black fucking shirt with the album just pasted on with a dodgy saying at the back.
Oh. Dodgy Satan. Love a good Dodgy Satan. That's a good name for a hot sauce, actually.
Or Dodgy Satan.
Dodgy Satan. Yeah.
Bands, please stop writing stupid fucking shit on the back of your shirts. Do you know how many times I've gone to buy a death metal shirt and it's like on the back it says like kneel before me, I'm your god now, and I'm like, okay, I'm not wearing that.
Yeah, it's like one of my favourite shirts, and it's fucking faded. There's this great Swedish death metal band called Incision, and it's and the vocalist's gimmick was this whole thing, was that when he goes on stage, he was serious about this stuff. So it was like he was legitimate. Well, claimed he was legitimate. He was legitimately possessed every time he went on stage.
Why were they called possessed?
Well,
I'm joking. That's a joke. Oh, so you know why.
Well, probably because the first band ever in the genre.
That's the joke.
Yeah, possessed too, yeah.
Also possessed.
Just possessed hard with a vengeance.
Possess AD.
Yeah.
Running out of Area 51 with Metallica's 2.
Yeah, I love that bit. But on the back of the shirt's got the words. Thankfully, it's faded, but it says, "In the gallows hangs your god." I thought that was pretty edgy.
Oh, so much edge. For a band called Incision as well. That's beautiful. I mean, at this point, we should probably say that the Chemist interview is about to start. Because we're going to edit it.
So awkward.
Is that awkward?
Is that what you said?
I think because you said it's awkward, it's awkward. It wasn't awkward until you made it awkward, man.
But watch it. It's a great interview.
It's a really good interview.
And go to Damnation.
Go Damnation. Thank you so much, Gavin and Paul, for making a fucking brilliant weekend.
I know. Roll on next year.
Absolutely. Hope we can go back.
Yeah, hopefully. It's...
If they let us back in.
Yeah, let us miscreants back in.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening. Feel free to like and subscribe.